The NASCAR garage was not ready for what Ryan Blaney just did. Because on paper, this race should not have belonged to him, not even close. The Straight Talk Wireless 500 at Phoenix Raceway looked like it had one clear owner all afternoon. One driver controlling the pace, one team calling the shots, one car that simply refused to slow down. Christopher Bell, lap after lap, Bell dominated. He led 176 of the 312 laps. His car was smooth, fast, and almost untouchable. For most of the race, everyone else in the field was simply chasing the number 20, but racing doesn't care about plans, and Ryan Blaney proved that in the most shocking way possible. Because the story of this race wasn't just about speed, it was about survival, and Blaney had to survive a lot. Early in the race, Team Penske looked unstoppable. Joey Logano started on pole, and the Penske cars quickly took control near the front of the field. Blaney himself jumped into the fight for the lead, making bold moves through traffic as the race unfolded. Phoenix is a tricky place. The 1-mile oval forces drivers to manage their tires, search for grip, and dance through dirty air. But this race felt different. For the first time with the next-gen car at Phoenix, NASCAR rolled out a 750 horsepower package. More power, more tire wear, more mistakes waiting to happen. And drivers immediately noticed the difference. Blaney himself said it best. "It was a great tire," Blaney said. "The added horsepower was good. We're creeping up on it. Hopefully we get a little bit more going forward. I always think that's good. You have comers and goers and stuff like that, and suddenly the track became alive. Cars were sliding, drivers were pushing, and if you pushed too hard, the tire would punish you. I thought it wore really good," Blaney explained. "You could make it angry and pay a penalty for it at the end of the run. I thought that added horsepower stepped that up too. You could really buzz the right rear if you weren't careful." Which meant the entire field was experimenting, searching, risking everything to gain just a tiny bit of speed. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it exploded. The race quickly turned chaotic. Flat tires, spins, contact. 12 caution flags eventually flew, tying the record for a Cup Series race at Phoenix. Kyle Busch hit the wall with a blown tire, Shane Van Gisbergen spun, Daniel Suarez spun. Cars bounced off the outside wall again and again. But the chaos didn't just hit the mid-pack, it hit Ryan Blaney too. Twice. During Stage 2, Blaney suddenly had to make an extra pit stop to check a loose wheel. That one issue dropped him from near the front, all the way to the back of the field. And at Phoenix, that used to be a death sentence. For years, drivers complained the next-gen car made passing nearly impossible on short tracks. Once you lost track position, your race was basically over. But something had changed. The new package, the new tire, the extra horsepower. Suddenly drivers could fight back, and Ryan Blaney started carving through the field like a surgeon. One pass, then another, then another. Even Christopher Bell noticed it happening. "I thought the racing was great," Bell said. "The horsepower was really, really necessary, and I would love to keep bumping it up. This really put it in the driver's hands and the team's hands. You saw Blaney be able to work his way back a couple of times. I ended up in the back once and the cream was able to rise to the top." And Blaney kept rising. But the drama wasn't finished, because just when Blaney fought his way back toward the top 10, disaster struck again. Another wheel issue, another extra stop, another trip to the back of the field, twice in the same race. For most teams, that would have been the end. But not for the number 12 team. Blaney later summed it up perfectly. "No, I mean just perseverance. I mean everybody on the 12 group persevered all day. We had a couple mistakes that we learned from, got better, had to come from the back a couple times. Still, even with that comeback, the race seemed out of reach. Because Christopher Bell was still dominating. He controlled the restarts, controlled the long runs, controlled the pace of the entire field. Meanwhile, the race around him was slowly falling apart. With under 100 laps to go, the tension exploded on a restart. Joey Logano was charging through the pack with fresh tires when he got into Ross Chastain heading into the dogleg. The slight bump sent Chastain sideways across the track. Anthony Alfredo and Austin Cindric had nowhere to go. Both cars slammed hard into the wreck. At one moment, one car even lifted completely off the ground. The crash destroyed several contenders instantly. Logano later admitted it was his mistake. "I didn't mean to get Ross there on the restart. I had a run and he kinda went down to the bottom with me and gosh, it's been a rough day. We had a good Mustang, probably a top 3 or 4 car, and it just really hurts to be here." Cindric could only watch the disaster unfold. "A whole lot of cars going right when the cars need to be going left," he said. "It's just a real shame." The wreck changed everything. Cars were torn up, strategies were scrambled, and suddenly, the race was about to enter its final stage. But what no one realized yet was that Ryan Blaney's biggest move of the entire race was still coming. The final stage at Phoenix wasn't calm, it wasn't clean, it was pure chaos. By the time the race entered its final stretch, the field looked exhausted. Cars were scraped up, strategies were scattered, and almost every team had already survived at least one close call. And through all of that, Christopher Bell still looked like the man who was going to win. He had the fastest car most of the day. He controlled the long runs. Every time the race restarted, he managed to drive away again. Ryan Blaney was there, but he was chasing, and time was running out. Then the track exploded again. Connor Zilisch got sideways and made contact with Ryan Preece, spinning the number 60 and bringing out yet another caution flag. A replay later showed how it all started. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. tried to force his car into a narrow gap, squeezing the field and sending Zilisch down into Preece. Another crash, another restart, another chance. At this point, teams were running out of fresh tires, and that changed everything. Some drivers stayed out, some took 2 tires, others gambled on 4. Bell stayed near the front, but the strategies around him were starting to split the field in half. On one restart, Joey Logano got into Ross Chastain, triggering that violent crash that destroyed several cars. Later, Logano himself spun after contact with AJ Allmendinger, sliding down the track before smashing into Daniel Suarez and Josh Berry. 3 more cars were out, and the caution count kept climbing. Phoenix had become a survival test. Through all of it, Ryan Blaney kept quietly working his way forward, from the back, again. By the time the laps were ticking down, he had climbed back to second place. But Bell was still a few seconds ahead, and without another yellow, the race might have ended right there. Blaney needed something to happen, and with 25 laps to go, it did. Austin Dillon cut a tire while running inside the top 10. His car slid up the track, bringing out yet another caution. Suddenly, the entire race flipped. Pit road became the most important place in NASCAR. Teams had one last decision to make, 2 tires or 4. Ty Gibbs and Ryan Blaney both took 2 tires. They wanted track position. They wanted clean air. Christopher Bell made the opposite call. He took 4. It was the safe move for speed, but it dropped him from the lead all the way back to 8th, and that one decision would decide the race. When the field restarted, Gibbs and Blaney launched from the front row. Behind them, chaos exploded again as Zane Smith, Ty Dillon, and John Hunter Nemechek crashed in the pack after contact from Stenhouse. Another yellow, another restart. The tension inside Phoenix Raceway was almost unbearable. On the next green flag, Blaney did exactly what he needed to do. He pushed Gibbs through the first corner, helping the number 54 clear Kyle Larson behind them. Then, Blaney made his move. He pulled to the inside, drove deep into the corner, and took the lead, just like that. But the race wasn't over, because Christopher Bell was coming. With 4 fresh tires, Bell began slicing through the field. Every lap he was closing the gap, every corner he was gaining time. Second place, then first in his sights. Blaney could see him in the mirror. The faster car was coming. "I don't know how many more laps I could have held them off," Blaney later admitted. And honestly, he might not have. But the clock ran out, the laps disappeared, and Ryan Blaney crossed the finish line first. A race that should have been impossible somehow became his. The comeback stunned the entire garage, because Blaney didn't just drive to the front once, he did it twice. 2 loose wheels, 2 trips to the back of the field, and somehow he still won. Blaney said afterward, "No, I mean just perseverance. I mean everybody on the 12 group persevered all day. We had a couple mistakes that we learned from, got better, had to come from the back a couple times. Obviously the 20 was the best car. Jonathan made a great call to take 2. We were able to get the lead. Hold them off." He paused for a moment, still catching his breath. Then he added something that meant just as much. "Really proud of everybody at Team Penske. We swept the weekend, Newgarden winning yesterday, us winning today. Can't wait to see Roger." Behind him, Bell crossed the line in second place after leading 176 laps. Close, but not close enough. "Ultimately, if we had more green flag laps, I think we could have made a run at him," Bell said. "I don't know. You win some, you lose some. This one stings, but on the positive side, I'm really proud of our entire team. Kyle Larson finished 3rd, Ty Gibbs 4th, Denny Hamlin 5th, but even the veterans were talking about something bigger than just the finish. The racing itself had changed. The new horsepower package and Goodyear tire had transformed Phoenix into a completely different track. Drivers could move around, push harder, make comebacks. Denny Hamlin even praised the tire after the race. "This tire is great," Hamlin said. "It really allows the drivers and teams to be in control of their destiny. It's always going to be a battle of how far can you push it. I thought the racing was great." Blaney agreed. "As far as the tire failures go, that's just people pushing air pressure. he explained. When tires wear out a lot, people are going to push air pressure. How low can we get? You're going to see blowouts. What's the basement without having a problem? That's racing. But for Ryan Blaney, this win meant more than just a trophy, because for the first time in his career, he's now a father. And after everything that happened on the track, his mind was already somewhere else. Obviously, it would have been cool to have Gianna and Charlie here, Blaney said, looking forward to getting home tonight and seeing them. Then he smiled. Because the biggest change in his life isn't racing anymore. It just changes your perspective, he said. Whenever I get home Sunday nights and see her and him, it just completely changes everything. Then he looked back at the day he just survived. For days like today, it's just the cherry on top. Really, really lucky to have a healthy son and a healthy wife. Hopefully we can do it at some point where they're here. Yeah, pretty cool. A chaotic race, 12 cautions, 2 trips to the back, and somehow, Ryan Blaney shocked the entire NASCAR grid.